Hello to everybody watching. We are here today with Bhatia Alston, the author of Amari and the Night Brothers, the incredible book that we were very lucky to include in our January Inner Magic box. It is such a great book. It has been getting so much buzz. Everyone is talking about it, so it's really thrilling to be able to sit down with you for the next hour and chat all about it. To anyone watching, we are obviously live on Zoom. We're also on Facebook. If you have any questions at all for BB, there is the chat function and there is also the Q&A function, so you can put any questions directly in there, and I will be keeping an eye on those so we can jump in intermittently and ask some questions from the audience. But without further ado, I'll hand it over to Shanleigh.
All right. Well, hello, BB, and welcome. I thought maybe we should just start with, if you could, give us a quick summary or just description of what Amari and the Night Brothers is about for anyone who has not yet finished it or waiting or hoping to pick it up soon, you know, maybe immediately after this author chat. Just a thought. But yeah, if you could give us that just to start off.
For sure. So it's about a 12-year-old girl. She's from the Atlanta projects. Her brother's been missing for about 6 months. And, you know, she's desperate to find him. So in order to get some answers, she kind of follows him to the secretive Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, this summer camp, where she learns that supernatural creatures from myths and legends all over the world are real. But, you know, they don't take just anyone. So she has to pass these tryouts against kids who've known about the supernatural world their whole lives. And, you know, more than that, it's just about a girl who's kind of learning to believe in herself, kind of accept herself too, even with all the magic and the stuff. That's pretty much what it's about.
A fantastic story. Also, you forgot to mention that, so I thought could you tell us a bit about what inspired Amari?
Well, you know, I was watching Men in Black. That's probably, it's probably the most easiest comparison, right? And so I'm a big Will Smith fan. I was watching it one day for like 1,000 times. And I was just thinking, like, what if it wasn't just aliens, you know? Like, what if it was all the things we consider myths and legends, like, that were living among us? Like, if maybe your neighbor was a werewolf or something, you know, how cool would that be? And how would that agency work? How would that be different? And then after I kind of was playing around with that idea, I kind of got the idea, like, you know, what if a kid from my background went to like a Hogwarts or a Camp Half-Blood, or those type of places? You know, because when I was coming up, there weren't any like fantasy stories with people who like me. So I think it was kind of fun to write about a kid that I hadn't seen before in that kind of story. So it was really fun.
Absolutely. And I love that we're starting to see so much more of that happening now, right? Like, not just within the Rick Riordan Presents novels, but just getting sort of wider publication and wide appeal as well, because these stories have such wide appeal, and it's so great to start to see that happening more and more.
Absolutely. I mean, just to kind of see that anybody can be the hero of their own story. I think that's such an important message for kids to get. So I think it's really cool what's going on, and I hope it continues, you know, so.
Yeah, me too. I'm right here too.
For sure.
What was the journey like getting, writing Amari? When did that start?
Well, you know, when I got the idea, when I first got the idea, I was really trying not to write a story, because I kind of committed myself to kind of do the med school thing. And I was like, well, you know, I had tried the writing thing for a while, and I was like, man, it's not gonna work for me. So it's time to turn to plan B. So I started my med school journey. I was doing my science classes, and then, you know, that's when I kind of had the first idea about the world. And then I was like, I'll just kind of work on this on the side during my study breaks, and that was a little fun little thing to break it up a little bit. And then when Amari popped in my head, I was like, well, I have to tell a story now. You know, especially once you have the character and the setting, it's hard not to tell a story. And so I just kind of messed with that all through school, and I got accepted to a biomedical science program at a medical school.
Oh my God!
And you know, I like I said, I was still kind of committed to just doing that. And then, but I was broke, so I had a seasonal job. I was trying to get ready to move out there to Philadelphia, and they didn't have my paperwork ready, so I kind of just was sitting there, you know, scrolling through Twitter like I always do, and there was this pitch contest called DV Pit, and I was like, well, you know, maybe I'll give this a shot and see what happens. You know, I kind of went back and forth about, like, nobody's gonna see this, nobody's gonna care, you know. But, you know, people did see it, and people really responded to the pitch, and that led to an agent, which led to a book deal, which led to like book deals all over the world, and then a movie deal, and it's been kind of a whirlwind. It's been a whirlwind for sure.
No kidding. So Plan A went to Plan B to back to Plan A.
Pretty much, yeah.
Sorry, did you say that Amari just kind of popped into your head? There was no like sort of proto Amari. She was just sort of there.
Yeah, she just like, I was working on the world one day, and then she just kind of popped into my head as the person who would be there, and I was like, oh wow, okay. Of course she had a lot of my background in there, and a lot of people I knew and I grew up with, they kind of all folded into her, and like I said, when she popped into my head, I kind of already knew how she talked and how she saw the world, so it was really kind of a cool experience,
No kidding. That's
Yeah.
super rare too. From many authors say that, like their main characters take a lot of time to sort of like stew and figure out what they're doing before they sort of like become fully realized. And she was just like, hi, I'm here. I have a story to tell.
Yeah, I got really lucky with that. A lot of side characters I had to really think about, like, okay, now who fits into this world and why would they be there, and where's their relationship to Amari? A lot of those took a lot more thought than actually Amari did, which is probably pretty weird. Yeah.
It's with our January theme very well, that inner magic thing.
Yeah, for sure.
She just magically popped up in your head.
Yeah, she did. She just kind of popped into my head. She was fully formed. I mean, it was pretty cool.
That's fantastic. So you talk about that whirlwind that sort of all sort of came about at the same time. What's been the most exciting part of it?
Oh man, probably just getting feedback from readers. Like they'll send me messages and DMs, and especially kids, because kids they're brutally honest. Like they're not gonna, they like it, they like it. If they don't like it, they don't like it, and they let you know. So it's been really cool to get their feedback and to see what character they like or what department what department's their favorite, that kind of thing. That's been really cool.
That brings us to a really good point, actually, about like which department we all think we would fit into and like what natural talent that we think we'd all have. Because naturally you read this and you automatically think, oh, what would mine be? Have you given thought to your department and your talent to enhance talent?
Well, I get the department question a lot, and it changes like every day. But recently I've been really saying the Department of Creature Control.
Nice.
Just because I think that'd be so cool to deal with all those magical creatures. But then there's a kid. He brought a really good point. He said that what about cleaning up magical poop? Like that would not be fun, And I had to agree with him because like how would magical poop work? Like would it be invisible? Like what kind of properties would that thing have? And so I really been kind of going to probably I know it's probably boring, but supernatural investigations like Amari. Just that's probably the most fun thing to do.
More glamorous too.
For sure.
You get cool shoes named after you and everything.
Exactly, right? Who doesn't want shoes? You walk in there, like, come on.
Sally, have you given it any thought?
I think I would probably, I had forgotten about creature control actually. Now that you said that, despite the poop, I still might want to go with that. But Department of Magical Science, I think would be super cool because I think you'd get to, experiment with all kinds of, alchemical things that may not exist in our world. I think I would go with one of the two. We're getting a lot of people chiming in that they would also want to be an agent in the chat. Anyone watching, we obviously want to hear what department you would be in, so you can put that in the chat. Shanleigh, what about you?
Well, we only see it like briefly when all the departments are sort of introducing themselves, but there's something about the Department of Dreams and Nightmares that really interests me. I'd like to see more of that. And I don't know, there's something really cool about it being in the mind and being magical, and also there's like some nefarious purposes there too. I'm drawn to that. I like that.
Yeah, you'll see a lot more of that in book 2 actually. So that'd be
excellent. Yeah. Well, that's incredibly exciting.
Sure.
Selfishly, I'm very excited now to see more of that department. One of my favorite aspects of this, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this online as well, is that they love how you've folded in other stories, other narratives, other characters. How was that? Like, what was the idea in the process, sort of like by figuring out that like Amari doesn't just exist in like our world, but a different form of it, but also all of those other things are real?
Well, I think that like the concept of it was like all the myths and legends are real. And I think when you boil those down to those myths and legends, those are just pretty much stories too. And so I guess it's kind of like, what are our American myths and legends? Like, what are those stories? And the more recent ones, that's when you kind of get into those classics. And I thought, well, why not fold those into it too, but kind of, put a twist on it, kind of have my own little twist and fun little spin on them. And so that's kind of how I've kind of approached that. And hopefully I can get more in the future. Not like I have to figure out different ways to put it in there so it's not
Right? Or
it's more interesting, but I love putting those little kind of Easter eggs in there. Maybe some people catch and some people don't catch.
what Amari and the Night Brothers is about for anyone who has not yet finished it. All right, something's going on here.
Sorry, that's me. I'm so sorry. Sorry.
Technical difficulties, everybody. That's what happens in the era of Zoom.
For sure.
Everything seem okay again now? I was getting audio from Facebook, which was delayed. I think we're back on track. Very sorry about that.
No worries.
But anyway, you were saying the Easter eggs. Obviously, there's like some pretty obvious ones. There's a reference to like Jekyll and Hyde in there at one point. Beowulf as well was a previous supernatural investigator. Have there been any references that you feel people have like missed or have just like kind of slipped under the radar, or were even just like for you?
I think only a couple people caught, but the librarian, her name is Mrs. Bell, and that's kind of a play off of Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I knew it.
Only a few people got that one. Yeah, because she loves the books and the movies, so I just kind of threw that in there too. Yeah, that's probably my favorite one.
Because she's a little older in that one too, and I was like, I wonder if that's her.
Yeah.
I also thought, because I'm a big David Bowie fan, and there's a reference to like his royal deviousness, the Goblin King, and I was thinking maybe, and I was like, but you know, even if it's not, it is for me, and that's the important thing.
Exactly. So I mean, if you found something that she makes it's for you, it's for you. You know.
The beauty of this world is you can put so much into it.
For sure.
I think there was also a part too where people like clapped to wake someone up, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice Peter Pan if that's what you're going for.
Oh wow, yeah. I didn't even think about that one. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
See, look, I'm adding more to this world.
Yeah, I wonder if some were like subconscious ones that I did without thinking. Maybe I don't know.
You're like, yeah, totally, definitely did that.
Yeah, man, I take credit for it.
Can we look forward to any other famous characters or other characters from other works that we might recognize?
Oh, for sure. I'm not sure exactly who just yet, just because my editor, they like cut. So I hate to promise you somebody and they get cut, but I do. That's something I want to do in all the books. Is just kind of fold other characters in there that in a cool new way. That's really a lot of fun to write. So I definitely, as much as I can do that, I'll try to do that.
Fantastic.
As much as I get away with it.
We had a question actually from someone who couldn't make it but wrote it into us a couple of days ago, and they actually were really interested in the creatures that you showed. There was like the boogie folk. We have heard about yetis, also Sasquatch. Like I'm forgetting his name, but it's Lord Sasquatch III, which
I think it's Sir
Sasquatch.
I can never say Sasquatch. Is it Sasquatch? It's easy to write there and say Sasquatch.
That's the beauty of the written word, is that you don't actually have to say it. You can be like,
right?
I totally know how to pronounce this.
Yeah. Then I get a reading and I have to read it and they're going like, oh, what did he just say?
Well, then you just gotta sort of like and then keep going.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that too. I'm gonna use that the whole paragraph.
Exactly. Then they'll just hear from it what they want to hear, and it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But sorry, got off topic. But yeah, so she's really interested in the creatures and was wondering if there's going to be more that we haven't met yet, and if so, can you tell us a bit about what we can expect to see? Slightly related to the character thing, but the creature version of it.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, I'm always trying to, find new creatures to kind of fold in there. Just like the same with the Easter eggs, just to kind of, I don't want to, go to book 2 and it's the same thing that you had in book 1. So, like I said, I hate to say like this specific creature will be in there just because, you never know if my editor will be like, no, we're cutting that whole section, So, but any kind of anything that you've seen in any kind of movie or story, that's kind of cool. I have put in there like gargoyles, and I think in the second one I've got like hobgoblins with wings and all kind of cool stuff. So all kind of like stuff I try to throw in here just to keep it fresh and fun.
Going more for like the folkloric characters that we've sort of like heard in passing in stories of, right?
For sure, yeah. That's probably my favorite thing to put in there. It's just something you kind of heard of. So it's not. I feel like when I make my own up, they're not quite as good. So if I can use the other ones to put a spin on it, I try to do that if I can.
Well, I loved the boogie folk. I'm very sorry. I'm blanking on the one character that we meet and sort of like talks to the junior.
The boogie person.
Yeah, the boogie person.
Yeah.
And I loved how just like just like so down to earth and cool she was. She's like, I mean, yes, of course I scare people. People gotta eat. I gotta eat
I
too.
think they really would be chill like that. It's nothing personal. It's just what I do. It's my job, right?
It's not personal. I do have to scare you, and I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that. But like, no harm, no harm done overall.
Like she'll scare you and then shake your hand afterwards. That type of.
It's like Monsters Inc., right? Or like
Yeah.
they're like these monsters, but like
Yeah.
it's just their job. They don't actually mean to. And actually, now that I think, if I hear something go bump in the night, I'm just gonna be like, oh hi, how you doing? Hoping you're having a good night.
Now, if somebody says hot back, then that might be time for alarm.
Yeah, if someone responds back, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Sally, do we have any questions from our viewers right now that we wanted to sneak in a few right now?
We have lots of great questions. Lots of people, just going to get some repeats out of the way so we can answer a few people at once. Lots of people are asking, will this be a series? We do know that there's going to be at least a second one, but can you tell us a little bit more about sort of is it a trilogy? How many books do you think we can expect from this?
So far, it's 3 books for sure. If we get any more than that, maybe I can't say for sure, but I know we'll get 3 definitely. Yeah, we already kind of plotted out, so we know how that's gonna end.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I have one from Annalise asking about the cover art. Do you know? She said, "Did you design the cover art yourself?" I'm guessing not, because I've looked up who the artist is. But can you give a shout out to the artist for the?
His name is Godwin Akpan. It's Akpan. Godwin Akpan. He did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I got both my little covers up here. I really love it. I got really lucky.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I actually saw work of his before. Like when I was actually writing the book, I saw something he was done. I had to go in the other room to get it, but it's just a photo of a girl, and she's like doing like some magic with her hands, and I thought that was just like so cool, and I was just kind of putting together the book, and so when the chance came to actually come up with a cover, and he was available, it was like, wow, it's like coming full circle, So he did an amazing job.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful cover. I absolutely love it. Let's ask one more, and then we can get back to Shanleigh's questions, and then save some more for these later.
Sure.
Armin is asking, we're interested in why the admissions guy, and this is a slight spoiler, but it happens quite early in the book, so I think we can get away with this one.
Be warned.
Okay.
We're interested in why the admissions guy thought that Amari would only get a cardboard badge, and what Bibi thinks about how Amari dispels preconceived notions of kids' talents.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he kind of just looked at her and kind of immediately went to the stereotypes. Like she's not what I'm used to seeing as the top kids, and then she's new and she hadn't visited this world before, and so I think all those things, and that's kind of going with the book is what the book is even about. Is just kind of judging people, not giving people a chance, and judging people before you get to know them, and that's exactly what happens, and that's why he's kind of so shocked when she gets more than that. I guess I try to say too much, but more than that, he gets a higher badge than that. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Great question, Armin. Thank you for that one.
For sure.
Yeah. Back to you, Shanleigh, and I'll compile a few other answers as they come in here. Question.
Thanks. All right, so let's talk again about, because we can't go too much into the plot, unfortunately, because we want to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. Just know there's lots of twists and turns for those of you who haven't finished it yet. But let's maybe talk about the sibling relationships, because that's a huge part in this story, like not just between Amari and Quentin, of course, but between the Van Helsing twins and their older sister as well. Can you talk a bit about how that came to be and how that sort of like folded into the story?
I think that's probably the most important relationships in the book are the kind of the brother-sister relationships. That's kind of what fuels Amari on her journey in the first place is missing her brother. He's kind of been that kind of guiding force for her in her whole life, and then when he's gone, all of a sudden she feels lost. And so that's why she's kind of she's kind of have her confidence issues, that she's always kind of used him as her crutch. And so when he's gone, all of a sudden she has to kind of learn to do stuff on her own and kind of learn to believe in herself. And and then even the villains, like Laura, she treats Amari pretty terrible throughout the book. But you come to find out that she's heard Amari a lot more similar than they are different. They have the same fear, and that's they're both her siblings in this. And I'm not sure how much you got to know about the book, but Maria the Van Helsing's older sister was Quentin's partner, and they both go missing. And so Amari and then her kind of rival, they both have siblings that are missing, and so they kind of react to that in different ways. And so Laura kind of takes it out on Amari, because she sees Quentin as the reason that her sister is missing, and so instead of like teaming up to like okay, we're going to get together and fix this thing together, she's like, nope, I don't want anything to do with you because your brother is the reason that my sister's missing, and I'm upset about it. And I'm going to treat you terrible because of that. And so just kind of playing off that relationship, that dynamic between both of them. I think that was probably the biggest part of the story for sure.
Yeah, lots of complexities in that too, right?
Absolutely.
Because like between at least Dylan and Lara, they're very different, but obviously very similar, and come at like sort of like that same feeling of them missing their sister and wanting to know what happened to their sister from very different angles.
Absolutely, for sure. Absolutely.
Do you have any siblings? Was that sort of inspired by something more closer to home?
Yeah, I do have. I have a brother. He's a younger brother than me, but he's the brother who would often do all the fancy stuff. I'm the brother who stay at home, so I'm kind of like the little brother almost. But we're really close, and I definitely drew from that. Just kind of how much I love my brother, and kind of how much we lean on each other, and for sure, just how important that can be for a kid. I thought I hadn't really read a book where the brother sister relationship was like like the center of the book, so that was kind of fun for me to write for sure.
Yeah. And how important Quentin is, not just to Amari's family too, but he seems to be like such a staple in the projects that she lives in. Right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he has a tutoring program, and you meet another character, Jayton. He was kind of the mentor. Quentin was kind of his mentor, and then you see when he goes and he leaves, kind of like how Amari kind of loses her way, he kind of loses his way too, and he kind of hangs out with guys he shouldn't be hanging out with, and he kind of. So I'm trying to think, and so when Amari sees him, part of her journey is saying that I don't have to wait on Quentin to reach out a hand and help him. I can help him myself, and so that was probably a pretty fun thing to write too.
Yeah. I love how honest Amari is with herself, knowing that she knows that she's brilliant and smart, and other people know about that as well, because she got into that private school at the beginning of the book as well, but she's also very sort of conservative with knowing what she's able to do right now, right? And that's part of her journey, is sort of like finding out what exactly she can do and then how that can apply to other people. For sure.
She's pretty complex in that way. It's a mixture of her being kind of conservative about how she feels about herself, and then also her kind of internalizing those stereotypes that she hears other people say. Like when she goes to her private school, she doesn't feel like she measures up to those other kids, and so her learning to kind of see past the stereotypes that kind of hold her back from herself, that's a huge part of the story. And so that's why I say so much of the story is just her kind of learning to believe in herself, kind of learn to accept herself. She kind of internalized the fact that, I'm the poor Black kid from the projects, and I'm around all these wealthy kids, and they have so much more stuff, and they have so many more life experiences than I have, and so just kind of finding her way is definitely the central emotional arc of the story for sure.
Mm-hmm. And finding that in like two huge situations too, like not just the private school at the beginning, but also being stuck in almost that exact same situation, except with magic. Exactly.
I definitely wanted to carry that on because I wanted to kind of introduce it in the real world, just kind of give it, kind of ground it.
Yeah.
And then, kind of have that same parallel when she gets to the supernatural world. So you kind of give her a chance to grow as a character and kind of go along that journey with her, for sure.
Yeah. Also a great sort of message to kids too, where like, these things can happen anywhere you go. I mean, whether it's the very school you're in or an entirely separate magical world that exists parallel to our own.
Exactly.
These things are never quite divorced from each other as much as we like to hope that they are, right?
For sure. I mean, anybody can find themselves in a situation where they're the person who's not like everybody else, and so just kind of learning to, kind of find that your inner magic, like you guys say with the theme. Kind of learn to find that in yourself is like so important as when you're growing up. So definitely, if I can get that message to kids, that that makes my day.
So what do you hope that everyone sort of takes away from Amari? Like all the kids reading this right now, what's the hope that they all get from it?
I think kindness, man. I think if you get one message from the book, I hope it's just kindness. It's in the world. There's so many divisions today with so many ways you can otherize somebody, that somebody doesn't look like you, or they don't talk like you, or they don't think like you. I think if anything, it's just kind of learn to give people a chance. Not judging them based on where they're from or kind of the superficial things that we judge each other on, and kind of really get to know each other and be kind. I think if you get any message from the book, I hope that's the message you get.
Absolutely.
I was wondering if maybe you could also talk a bit about some of our side characters. Now, just going back a little bit, you said that Amari obviously just popped into your head. What about the other characters that really were standouts for me, like Magnus and Elsie?
Elsie probably took a long time because I wanted to find a character who is the sidekicks they're typically they're usually always kind of like, if the main character excels in one thing, the side character excels in another thing. And I really tried to go away from that, but it was just so much fun to make her super smart. And I know that's something a lot of people do with sidekicks, but that's just so much fun to write, is having that character who just like knows stuff. Like it's so easy and it's so fun, and you can really get I really got a kick out of that. And then Magnus, I'm trying to figure out, where did I get Magnus from? That's a really good question. I think I just wanted somebody who was just cool, and I don't know, I always thought like the kind of like cowboy image was really cool to me, and so when I kind of finding somebody who was like kind of like a mentor to even Quentin and her, I guess I just thought like, what would be really cool, and I kind of like that rugged cowboy image was cool to me, and so that's kind of how I came up with Magnus.
Do you have a favorite character?
I really love Elsie. Like Elsie's so much. She's such a warm character. Like you every time you're at an Elsie scene, you always feel good at the end. That's my favorite for sure.
I wonder if that's because like what she is on the page starts to come out a bit, right? Because like she can like see your emotions and know exactly what it is you're feeling, and I wonder if that sort of like comes out a little bit even on the page. You just feel good talking to her.
For sure. Absolutely.
I mean, we're also not mentioning the fact that she's a were-dragon, which just...
Yeah, right?
That's all.
Oh, man. Oh, I almost hit a spoiler. I'm going to stop myself.
Oh. I know, I have all my notes in front of me right now, and I'm like, oh, can't say that. Oh, no. Can't say that.
Oh, I get close to messing up so many times when I'm talking on interviews and stuff. Especially live interviews. I get so nervous about saying stuff I shouldn't say. I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, that must be so tricky with the series. I wonder that every time we're talking to an author. How do you keep it in?
Especially like people like a book 2 or book 3. Like, do you not say anything from book 1, or like how does that work?
Oh, I mean, I imagine if you're talking about book 2 and someone specifically asks you about it, I'm like, if you haven't read the first book, I mean, like, what you're signing up for. That's on you at that point.
Yeah, that's on you for sure.
Like, yeah, maybe on your next book tour, when book 2 comes out, it'll be a little easier. You can be like, okay, so everything that happened in book 1, let's go.
Man, that'd be a relief to be like, okay, all this happened, like, go.
You're like, all right, is everyone ready? Because I'm talking about it.
I'm gonna read the whole book for you.
Actually, working on book 2 is kind of difficult right now too, because you're just only talking about book 1, and so much of book 2 has to happen like from where we left off.
Yeah.
So
and this is my first book too, so it's a lot of you have to assume that you kind of almost have to assume that somebody is picking up book 2 that maybe hasn't read book 1, and so you have to like summarize book 1 in a way that doesn't like stop the story. So that's been kind of the biggest learning pain for me, is it's kind of like, how can I get everything that happened in book 1 into book 2 without like rewriting book 1 in like a big info dump, and that kind of stops the story and gets boring. But it's gonna be a lot of fun book 2. I think people will really enjoy it. Like, you get outside the bureau a little bit more. You get to kind of see how the supernatural world and the normal world kind of meet up and interact. And so I hope people like it. I hope people enjoy it.
Is it a much different experience writing a sequel than it is a first one? Obviously, like the time frame must be much shorter, because you had a long time to go through like all the nitty gritties of how the world worked for book 1, but now book 2, it's just like, you gotta get it done.
Absolutely. Like when I think I wrote that off and on for like 4 or 5 years. You know, I could just like put it down and go do something else for a couple weeks, come back to it. But you know, book two, you have those set deadlines. You have to hit them. So definitely a big learning curve. But hopefully we'll get everything done on time, and you guys will get book two and you'll like it, and I hope so. So we'll see.
Real quick, also, you said that we get to see a bit more of the world. Does that mean there are, I assumed this, but there are other Bureau of Supernatural Affairs out there, like almost an MIB international kind of a situation?
Oh, for sure. So they're like different outposts, and like there's one in London that gets mentioned in book two. There's like a little outpost in Antarctica where they kind of monitor the abominable snowman. You know, he's like a big terrible beast in this book, and we have to keep him asleep so he doesn't like tear up the world. You know, but yeah, they're like spread all over, and then wow, I'm saying another word. I had to stop myself. But yeah, you definitely get to go out and see more of the world, and see characters that you saw in book one but are different. That's how to say that spoiler.
I'd like to say it gets easier talking about books without spoiling them, but I don't think it does.
No. We've got some great questions coming in here on the Q&A, if I can jump in for a minute. Lots and lots of people. And if you can't talk about this, just let us know. Okay. Lots of people, Kylie and many others, are asking about the movie, that there's been a lot of buzz about it being a movie. Is that actually like in production, or has it been optioned, or what's going on with the movie?
So it's been optioned, and right now they're on the second version of the script. And I think we just talked a couple of weeks ago. It might have been 3 weeks ago, and me and the screenwriter were kind of going over the best ways to kind of adapt it over. Right now we're just kind of hoping everything, COVID kind of slowed everything down. So of
course, yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, maybe by the end of this year, beginning of next year, it'll be in production. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Cool. But it is like script is being worked on, like it's it's like, in Hollywood. That's awesome. Very glad to hear that. Okay, so everyone who's asking about a movie, there you go. We've got a question from Nana. She said, "Why did you choose to make the main character a girl, and how did you find it writing from a girl's perspective?"
Like I said, honestly, she just popped into my head as a girl. Like I didn't like stop and say, "Okay, I'm gonna write about a girl." She popped into my head as a girl. I said, "Well, I'm gonna go with that." And honestly, I don't know if it's really that much different. I mean, I think if you just write a well-rounded character, try to make him as human as possible, I think it kind of comes through. I think obviously I had my wife and stuff read it to make sure I didn't like do anything stupid or something that wouldn't be because you come from a guy's perspective, sometimes there's a blind spot sometimes. And so definitely had some my agents and my editor, they're both women, so they can kind of help me out too. But yeah, I don't think it's too much different. Maybe as an older age, maybe might be a lot more tricky. But I think for me, it was just writing a well-rounded character, make her give her thoughts and feelings, making her human. And I think that's hopefully that came through.
It did. I loved her voice. It felt so real, like as a I was a 12-year-old girl once. I thought you nailed it. So that was a great question, Nana. Thank you for that.
Also, her honesty was just so great too, and such a thing that like a precocious, smart 12-year-old would just do. Like, I think at one point she says to maybe this is a spoiler, so I'm gonna refuse to say names. She says to one person going on a date with another one, being like, "She's way too good for you," and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said that to one of like my aunt's boyfriends at one point, so like, I get it.
That's awesome.
At that point, I was just like, "Oh my god, I was this."
We've got a few different questions about Quentin here. Okay. Silas is asking, do you think that there will ever be a Quentin prequel?
Ooh. Oh, that'd be fun. I mean, I don't know. I would love to do that. If they let me, I sure would. I would definitely write some Quentin prequels. I don't know, maybe I can rate that like YA or something. I don't know. We'll see. That might be like a fun way to kind of,
Age gap.
have an extra book or something for fans if they really want another book in the world. That might be a fun way to do it.
Nice. Ella is asking if there was anyone in particular who inspired Quentin. And just to piggyback on top of that, Henry is asking, are you Quentin as an older person?
Oh man, I don't know if I'm quite as good as big brother as Quentin is. I hope I am. I don't know. I'd ask my little brother if he says yeah, but I'm inspired by him. I think I just try to make the best, probably the best big brother of all time. Just somebody who you really believe would kind of leave this gap in her life. Somebody give somebody. I really try to make like the super best big brother of all time. Somebody who could also like not only be somebody who she really misses, but somebody who kind of casts a shadow that she has to kind of find a way out of, kind of find herself in her own way of doing things. And so that's really where Quentin came from.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then
all like the best big brothers you can possibly imagine.
I've got one more here, and then I'll pass it back to Shanleigh. But oops, where did it go? Henry's asking, what advice do you have for people who are young writers?
Oh man, write what you love. Like if you like writing about trees, write about trees. Because I think when you write about stuff you love, you don't lose the passion for it. And I think that's such a big thing with writing is kind of keeping that passion for it, because it's so, especially when if you get to the point where you're not scared to let other people read it, and you're scared of, there's always gonna be a reason to be scared to let other people, kind of put it out there. But I think if you write about something you love, at the end of the day, even if nobody likes it but you've written something that you love, and I think that has value, And so that'd be my biggest advice is just, whatever you love, whatever you love reading, write about that. And I think you'll always have something you love doing.
That's awesome advice.
Well, dang. I mean, okay, we could just end this here right now. All right. Before I jump into my next little chunk of questions I have, which is going to be about like sort of writing and all that stuff, just going back real quick about the movie thing. Do you have like a dream cast of people? Like let's say like no holds bar, you could get literally anyone you wanted. Any thoughts?
Oh man. Well, Marseille Martin is set to play Amari right now.
Okay.
For Quentin, I would love like if Michael B. Jordan played Quentin. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be a cool maybe Dylan. Like who could play Dylan? See, I'd say Tom Holland, but he's too nice, I think he'd be too nice for Dylan. I mean you want somebody that's kind of
but he could totally do that vibe though. I see what you're saying, but yeah.
Did you guys have any like a Timothy Chalamet maybe?
Oh,
he could pull off a lot of complex emotions.
Yeah, I could see him in one of the elevators. I think that would be incredible. He could be Lord Kensington, which was probably my favorite of all of them.
You got to get someone with a really cool voice for Kensington, like I don't know. If you could get like James Earl Jones, that would never happen. But if you could get like a James Earl Jones,
that would be amazing.
That'd be really cool,
Especially like the fastidiousness that is Lord Kensington, and just Darth Vader. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
If it happens, like you heard it here first. Just saying.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, if anyone else have ideas for actors that would make great characters for this very rich world, let us know, because
that'd be so cool.
I'm just so interested in what people. The moment any book I read gets optioned for film, I'm just like, oh my god, who could play who?
Yeah.
Caitlin had another quick question about the movie. This one's from Caitlin. Is it going to be animated or live action?
Live action.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good question, Caitlin.
Excellent. All right. Let's get into maybe questions about writing. Okay. So you gave us a bit of a hint about what's going to be happening in book 2 here. So I guess I don't need to ask that one now. How did you get started writing? You said that you were sort of writing just in between a bunch of things. You were possibly thinking about going into medicine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually started writing like way back in middle school. I would write these these really corny like horror stories with my classmates, and we were going on these field trips that go horribly wrong, and not everybody would survive to the end, and they would die in like hysterical ways. Like they would like people, like classmates like come over and like look at read the story with me and kind of see who made it and who didn't make it. And I think that was like the first time I said, wow, something I wrote kind of brings other people joy, and they kind of get a kick out of that. So that kind of probably what started my love for writing. And then ever since then, it's just kind of like something I do on the side, a hobby. I mean, I never thought I'd get published until like I got published. So yeah, it's always been something I did for fun on the side.
That's amazing. You wrote horror to start with too.
Oh gosh, really bad horror stories.
Do you still have any of that? I'm not asking to look at it, but do you still have any of that?
I probably don't, but man, if I could find it, I would love it. I would love to read one of those over again. It's so bad.
That's the joy of it, though. I came across some of the stuff I'd written when I was like in grade 6, and it is horribly cringeworthy, but it's fun to
Exactly, right. At the end of the day, you got to write for yourself first. You know what? Write what makes you excited. What do you get excited for?
Exactly.
Yep, that's what keeps your passion going for sure.
That passion needs to be there before you can like hope to even start anything truly worthwhile, right?
Because if you write from a place of excitement, and I think it's gonna be a fun experience no matter how it turns out. And so yeah, for sure.
Amazing. Have you thought about writing horror after or in between the Amari stuff?
I've thought about it, but I mean, I don't know. I haven't actually written a horror as an adult, so I'm not sure how well I could pull it off. But I've certainly thought about it for sure.
That's so fun.
There's some really good spooky horror middle grade coming out, creeping in towards Halloween this year, and I'm very excited for it. Middle grade horror is basically all I can handle as far as horror goes, but just a thought. We would love to hear it from you if you ever have time in the future.
Like the R.L. Stein books is really good.
Yeah. Who doesn't love the R.L. Steins though?
For sure.
Are you writing anything else other than the Amari books right now?
Nothing. Just like play around stuff. Nothing like that'll probably turn anything. Just stuff for fun, just for me to kind of break up the Amari stuff. Just kind of experiment and have fun. Like I said, just fun stuff, but nothing that'll probably turn into anything. Honestly. Okay. At least not right now. We'll see.
You never know, right? They could be.
You never know, right? You never know.
Eventually grow up into actual stories.
For sure.
Another person that couldn't end up making our chat but had a question for you was, what's the hardest part about being a writer?
That's a really good question. Probably. I guess maybe once you write stuff, you don't know how people if they're gonna like it or not. Maybe, especially when you publish, right? Because once it's out there, it's out there, and they like it, they don't. If they like it, they like it. They don't, they don't. You just kind of have to deal with how it goes. Luckily for me, I mean, it's been really positive for the first book, but hopefully the second book is the same. But you just you never know, right? And so all those insecurities start popping up in you. That's probably the toughest part. But you just kind of have to. If it's something you love, it's kind of do what you love and hope people respond to it. That's all you can really do,
Yeah, that's true. That would be the hardest part, is like putting your heart and soul into something and then not.
Yeah, like hate it, right? Like, oh no.
I know. You can only write what you think you would like, right?
Exactly, right? That's all you can do. For sure.
Do you have a particular genre that you sort of gravitate towards more, not just like in writing, but in your own reading as well?
Oh, I've been a fantasy fan, like, oh my gosh, since like What the Wild Things Are. Like I mean, that's pretty much all I read is fantasy. And I watch. I've been getting more into contemporary recently, but I mean, I always gravitate to fantasy. I just it's something about just if there being more to the world than what it is right now. I think that always kind of captures my imagination and gets me excited. So fantasy is always my favorite for sure.
How did you find writing fantasy versus all the books and stories that you've read? Was it difficult to sort of like try to conceptualize something that was obviously still reminiscent of what you've read and what you've loved, but also completely your own?
I mean, it's definitely a challenge, like especially when you first start out and you're kind of like you're kind of unsure about your writing, so you kind of if you find yourself like writing like other people write, then you kind of have to find your own voice. I think that's probably a lot of why I like kind of incorporating other stuff and kind of put my own twist on it. It's just because it kind of brings my favorites from stuff other people did, and it's kind of a way to kind of make it new and make it my own. For sure, yeah.
Yeah, for.
A very important question just came through from Catherine Hawley. It says that she's asking the bio in the back of your book says that you can be found eating too many sweets. What's your favorite kind of candy?
Oh, important.
Candy. Oh man. See, I'm a candy snob sometimes. Okay, so if you go to Whole Foods, they have this chocolate bar, and I'm not sure. It's like it doesn't even have a name. It just says Whole Foods, and it has like a country in it. Now, I can't remember the country right now, but it is the best chocolate. Oh my gosh, it is so good. Is it Madagascar? I don't know. Maybe somebody knows what I'm talking about. Next time you go to Whole Foods, look at the chocolate bar section, and there's like a chocolate bar. It just says Whole Foods, and it's got a country on it. And
is it just like plain chocolate, or is there something?
It's just milk chocolate, but I love milk chocolate, so it's really good.
Classic, a great answer.
So if you like run to the gas station snack, I'm always down for Snickers and the yellow Skittles. Those are favorites.
Yellow Skittles specifically. Okay, I feel like that's a controversial Skittle color. I know people who will be like, "Ew, no lemon for me." Like,
oh no, not the yellow Skittle, the yellow bag. I'm sorry, I said it wrong.
The yellow bag.
Yellow bag of Skittles. Yeah, the yellow Skittles are terrible. That's universal. That's just a fact.
Okay, so the yellow bag, are those like the tropical flavors?
I think it's I'll just try to see if I had a bag.
You have different candy than us up in Canada. So
I think it might be tropical. I feel like they put the yellow Skittles in there to punish you for some reason. Those are just awful Skittles.
There's always got to be one flavor in almost everything that you just tolerate so you can get to the good ones.
Yeah, like the red Starbursts, those are awful too.
Did you see the red Starbursts?
Oh, I hate them with a passion. I would really not eat them. I would like stack them to the side, and like those are not going to get eaten. Those are terrible, and they are terrible candy.
See, that's the thing. I have two sisters, and when we would share like a pack, like I'd somehow always get the red ones. So I feel like I don't even know if anymore if I love the red ones or if it's all I've known. I almost felt hurt there. I was like, not the red Starbursts. And then I was like, wait. Have I been inceptioned my whole life into liking these?
It might be.
I'm discovering new things about my life in this chat right now. But I love also the particularity that you have for the candies. Be like, okay, you have to go to Whole Foods. You have to look for this very specific one. I love it.
Oh man, I wait way too many sweets. Yeah, for sure.
Do we have any other questions like that, Sally? Because that was fantastic.
That was there's definitely some other people chiming in about their preferred candies. Hold on a second, let me just decipher this one again. Okay, so in the box we included a tea blend that was inspired by another fantastic middle grade series called Love Sugar Magic. So Lily M is asking in the box that the Amari book came in, it had a tea blend. I don't recall reading about her drinking tea, but could you imagine her making tea and putting the blend in? Do you think that Amari is a tea drinker? Do you think she would mix it into some sort of magical elixir maybe?
For sure, I think she definitely tried for sure. Especially if she learned it was magical, I think she would definitely try it, like instantly. Like, I mean, I would try it. You know, actually, the one that I got, I didn't get to taste. Actually, I bought an extra box to give away, and my wife said instantly, like she just snatched it right out of the box. Like, this is mine. So I had to try either one of them, but she loved it, so that's awesome.
Oh, that's great. That was made by one of our favorite shops, Riddle's Tea. The Riddle's Tea Shop. They're fantastic, and they made that custom for our subscribers. So
yeah, she loved it. She loved it.
I also totally see like Elsie's supernatural like inventiveness totally lending itself to creating a fantastic tea blend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, she would just like go down for that.
Elsie would definitely drink tea for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then Nana again is asking, what were your favorite books as a child?
I was a huge like I said, I loved Where the Wild Things Are when I was really little. What Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was one of my favorites. Just because it's kind of that same thing where you know, you get the world and then you find out there's so much more to the world than you thought there was. Once you get to the chocolate factory, and there's so much magic. Those type of stories always get to me, you know. I'm trying to think what else. I love the Narnia books. Those are really fun. I think those are the ones that stand out for me right now. For sure, yeah.
All good answers. And we also always love to ask if there's any middle grade that you've recently read or that's coming out soon that you're super excited about or would recommend that other people read.
Oh, I always recommend the Nevermore series. That is like this amazing middle grade. Tristan Strong, that's a really good series.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, Kwame and Bhatia. Man, there's so many good ones. Really, almost any of the Rick Riordan present stuff is really good. There's what's one that dude just came out? Oh, I can't think of the name of it right now. Shoot. I'll remember it as soon as I'm off of here.
Do you have the cover in your head? Do you know what the cover looks like? We can maybe
try. It's like green, and they're like standing back to back.
Is it Root Magic?
Yes, that is it. That is it.
That's great.
For sure.
I haven't read that one yet, but that one's on my list, and I'm really excited to get that one to go.
For sure.
Yeah, those are great answers. We are major Nevermore fans here as well. But does the third Tristan? I feel like the third Tristan Strong is coming out.
I think it comes out this year, I believe.
Yeah, that's awesome. Feels like yesterday that the first one was coming out, so I'm just like, what is time? That's okay. Well, we are coming up on an hour here. That flew by. But thank you so much for everybody who was watching. We had so many fun questions and a very active chat going on the side here. Vivi, thank you so much for spending an hour of your evening with us. It was such a treat to chat with you. We loved your book. Can we expect book 2 around this time next year, do you think?
I'm hoping definitely early next year. I don't want to say January exactly, but I'm thinking January so far. We'll see when that exact date gets announced. But it'll definitely be early next year for sure. Okay,
cool. So we can just keep rereading book 1 until that comes out. And so thank you so much. Anyone who's watching who did not get a copy or one of these boxes, they are still available in the shop at owlcrate.com. We, I think, have a few extra of just the books as well, which we'll be posting soon. But however you can get your hands on this book, whether it's through your library or ordering it from an independent store or getting it through us or whatever, just read this book. It was such an adventure, and we were just so happy to include it in the box.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So I think we will wrap up there. But again, thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day wherever you all are.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.